Hi, welcome to Fun and Friends. I am Avalon.
I'm Sabrina.
And I'm Jasmine.
And welcome to the channel.
Welcome.
Today we're going to be doing chapter 8. I had to think about that one for a minute because it's been like a month, 2 months, a long time.
I think it's been 2 months since recording, but a month since we had a post.
It's been a very long time.
Life has been horribly crazy.
Yes.
My grandma died. Then we both got COVID. And then my other grandma is now currently dying. So it's been a hard time. So
all three of us has had family in the hospital in and out for the past month.
Yeah.
So we apologize, but hopefully you guys can forgive us and understand. Family comes first.
Yes. So we are going to record tonight, and hopefully we won't be as long next time. Fingers crossed.
We can't record for the next 4 weeks, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So we'll be a long time to stay
We'll be
with
a long
us.
time. We'll be back. Though we might be able to record.
We will record
Yeah,
our
we
book.
Or maybe we could do one of those phone-ins where I could do a phone-in with you guys.
I don't know.
Or something.
We will
'cause
figure it out. We'll figure it out.
But we will be recording the other book that we
Thrown
heard
in glass.
Yes.
Amazing book. I've read the first 5. I love
Anyway, back to our book that we're currently reading on this
This channel.
This playlist right now. This one.
Where are we?
So we're on chapter 8, but just a recap of chapter 7. Sophie was told by the headmaster of the new girls' school that her objective is she needs to kill Tedros if they want to keep everything this new amazing way. And Agatha is being told by the witches who used to be Sophie's roommates that they want her to kiss Tedros and fix everything, except for Dot. Dot doesn't want things to change. And then the other thing that she was also warned about, Agatha was warned about the butterflies. The butterflies that we've seen throughout several chapters now, everything that they hear gets back to the headmaster. So, dun, dun, dun.
Stay tuned afterwards. We were able to go to Comic-Con and we're able to go to the panel about the new School of Good and Evil TV show, so we figured that we would talk about that afterwards, just a little bit, to give you a heads up, but more about the TV show.
The author was awesome.
Yep.
All right.
All right, to the chapter. Maybe.
Gotta find it.
There you go. Chapter 8, Unforgiven. We'll be late for your first challenge, Beatrix frowned from the door, 2 satchels of books in hand. Sophie didn't move, glaring at Agatha. Now you want to stay? She said leerily, perched on the middle bed in her school uniform, a crystal diadem glittering on her head. You said it was evil to stay. Agatha stared at the painting splashed across the wall. Once a pink vision of dashing princesses kissing their princes kissing their princesses, now a life-size mural. Do we even have our microphones on?
Do you need them with this computer?
Probably not. Okay, anyway.
No, we don't.
Do we need to pause and just double check and listen?
I think
we're good.
Okay.
It was more of a distraction. I'm sorry. Now a life-size mural of her kissing Sophie back to life in a starburst of blue light. I'm just seeing him. I'm not choosing him. I'm just seeing him. What about seeing Tedros? Sophie lashed, remembering the dean's warning. What about seeing your prince? Agatha didn't answer. Well, Sophie pushed. Agatha turned pale limbs jutting from her school uniform, diadem slipping down from her hair. I'm still here, aren't I? Sophie exhaled, the dean's echo trickling away. Like the schoolmaster, the dean didn't fathom the strength of her friendship. Agatha would never go to Tedros. They'd been through too much. You forgive me? Agatha said, surprised by Sophie's silence. Sophie looked up, smiling in answer, but suddenly Sophie wasn't seeing Agatha anymore. Suddenly, all Sophie saw was a girl who'd wished for a boy, a girl who'd stabbed her in the back, a girl who'd ruined her ever after. An old fire of suspicion kindled inside of her. Forgive her? Sophie thought, fighting it. But her muscles were clenching, her fists were curling. The good forgive. And now her heart swelled with a witch's rage. With a grasp, Sophie flung off the bed and hugged Agatha, jostling her friend's tiara. Oh, Aggie, I forgive you. I forgive you for everything. I know you would never go to him. Agatha reddened, averting her eyes. What is this cursed?
Yikes.
thing. Yeah, you know she's gonna go. And you know she doesn't actually truly forgive her.
Nope.
Nope, not at all. That's not forgiveness. Just saying it doesn't make it true. She murmured, diadem now somehow in her mouth. Duh, your Captain Crowns. Beatrix. Bless you. Crabbed, foot tapping impatiently. You were the top ever when you left, and Sophie was the top never. Well, we're on the same side now, Sophie beamed and gripped Agatha's hand. Agatha felt her palms sweat and let go of the satchel of books from Beatrix. Your rankings start over today, though, Beatrix said, if we ever get to your first challenge. That's funny because Beatrix is, like, so into, like, being on the top, and same with Hester. As Sophie followed Beatrix's bald head out, she glanced back at Agatha, who was frowning at the book spines in her satchel. Men, the savage race, happiness without boys, the princess's guide to princelessness.
Chewie, you gotta go that way.
You gotta go that way.
Come here, Bubby.
Here you go.
Come here, Bubba. Hi, baby.
Ready for our new school? Sophie said, holding open the door. Agatha looked up and did her best to smile back. Professor Anemone gave Agatha a loaded stare as she trudged into her blue taffy-coated classroom for debeautification without any of her usual manic flounce. 20 girls straightened to attention in neat rows. This week, we continue to debeautify everything a prince expects of his princess. Professor Anemone huffed, bright yellow gown devoid of any brassy beads, feathers, bustiers, soaring headdresses, and fur regalia she used to parade. Hi! You were just being so distracted.
You can't put your face in the book.
Yeah, baby.
You gotta make your appearance because you're the friend. The friend. Say hi, Ju. Say hi. Look at all those peoples.
Hi, baby.
The classroom, too, had been stripped of all of her old beautification flourishes, including her antique mirrored stations from Polsey, before and after portraits of her most improved students, and shelves upon shelves of grooming equipment. Now all that was left were the white fudge desks, a licorice chalkboard, and blue taffy walls, watermarked with Sophie's smiling face and a marshmallow speech bubble. Beauty is a state of mind. To review, Professor Anemone grouched, flashing Agatha another blameful scowl. First, we beautified diets in insidious plagues and encouraged a girl to eat anything her heart desires.
Well, that's my kind of rule.
Right? Even candy.
Love
Agatha coughed. Professor Anemone reviled candy so much she once punished her for 2 weeks of scrubbing dishes for eating it. Yet the other girls didn't seem at all fazed by this about-face. Indeed, Agatha noticed a few holes in Rena's fudge desk, and suddenly her plumper appearance was no longer a mystery. Second, we did beautified
We're all
hair.
guilty of that at one point
I'm just
or
like, what a
another.
delicious desk. Oh, you want a desk too? You
Nibbling
want a
away.
nummy desk too?
You know, like when a cake is on the counter or something.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
Like one little. And then
When
you
you
keep
say
going
you
back
want a
and
little
back.
slice, and then you have to go back for a
for
second
more.
little slice, because that first little slice was just a
Wasn't
taste
it?
tester.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just need more of the taste. Just a
one
little
more.
bit.
Oh, fluffy poof.
Second, we debeautified hair and a prince's preference for long, luscious locks, the teacher continued, instead advocating for each girl to experiment and find a style that feels right. Agatha saw her grimace as she... You are just being all sorts of a distraction tonight, sir.
Sir.
Do you mind taking that from him?
Oh, is that like a turtle you got him from Hawaii?
Yeah. No, he said that
Oh,
turtle.
he said the turtle.
Chewie, leave it.
No more.
I'm sorry.
Go lay down. Sorry, buddy. Go lay down.
We will play this week or after the recording.
Yes. Agatha saw her grimace as she took in Giselle's blue mohawk, Beatrix's hairless
I love
palette,
it.
and Millicent's dirty red mop. Hair that Professor Anatomy's old class had spent months grooming to perfection. Third, we debeautified makeup as its own... You better not be getting that squeaker toy. Okay, good.
Shut
As
the
a
door.
pawn, okay. We debeautified makeup as a pawn of the patriarchy, designed entirely to attract men. The teacher went on, wincing at the sea of unwashed faces, proudly worn blemishes, and nevers who applied it curiously, like 2-year-olds left to face paint. And today we move on to our 4th unit. She turned to the chalkboard, words appearing as she moodily slashed her fingers across it. Debeautifying pink. The last letter appeared with nails on a board squeak as the girls shielded their ears. From last night's reading, the teacher grumped, what are the 3 reasons why pink must be exterminated? Agatha frowned. Professor Anemone worshipped pink. Yes, Beatrix, her teacher said, for Beatrix was waving her arm like she needed to pee. Because pink is the color associated with weakness, helplessness, and anxiety. But Professor Anemone, another reason, Dot, because pink is the opposite of blue and a color of strength and serenity, which boys have appropriated for themselves without giving girls a choice. Dot preened, earning 5 stares from her Evergirl coterie. Hester slingshot her with a shard of taffy, and Dot yelped. Professor Anemone, Beatrix interrupted. You had to turn Beatrix, Arachne, the last reason. Because pink is a sign of infection around a cut, and pink eye means you have fungus in your eye.
Not wrong, but...
You're not wrong. Take this as a reminder to do your reading before you answer, Arachne, Professor Anemone snapped, adding under her breath, and a reminder why evers and nevers should be in different school. What is it, Beatrix? Professor Anemone, why are you wearing pink? Professor Anemone tracked her eyes to a heart-shaped pink barrette clipped in her own wild blonde hair. Her cheeks ballooned red about a blow. Then she saw the butterfly in the windowsill. Oh dear, am I? She magically turned the barrette blue with her finger. Turning a bit colorblind in my old age. Now please, hand in your homework diaries on the steps you've taken to debeautify. She stomped through the rows of girls to collect them, giving the butterfly a dirty look as it flew away, presumably because it could only hear and not see. Agatha scanned the loomy blue walls, same as once the color of Sophie's favorite pink dress, before the dean had her do away with it. Agatha never liked pink. It reminded her of baby vomit. But why hadn't Professor Anemone decorated her classroom how she liked? She glanced at Sophie in the next desk, ogling her watermarked face on the taffy walls. Allergies to candy were cured by celebrity, it seemed. Aggie, I've been thinking, Sophie said, turning to her. Why do you think Tedros hasn't tried to see you? What? You've been here all morning. No Romeo sneaking through your window. No lover's embrace. He hasn't even sent you a note. Agatha stiffened. Doesn't matter, does it? She said, and feigned listening to the teacher. Well, it's even more reason not to try and see him, Sophie sighed, polishing her captain's crown. Who knows if he even wants to see you? In case we have our first 3 classes together, then we have different schedules. Wonder why the dean separated us. Don't think that we're even in the same forest group. Her voice trailed off as Agatha gazed out the window at the halfway bridge, obscured by swirling gray fog. She was still thinking about what Sophie had said. Why hasn't Tedros come to see me? The blue barrette dropped on her desk and clinked to the floor. As she reached for it, a hand seized hers. Clarissa is livid, Professor Anemone hissed in her ear. You must seal your ending with Sophie or Tedros immediate. She silenced before the door swung open and Pollux the dog staggered through. Or rather, his head staggered through, wobbling atop an antelope's body he clearly didn't know how to use. Sorry I'm late, he said, rising his nose snootily. I had private counsel with the dean about the need for more aggressive pink removal. Indeed, I found a thread of it on the 4th floor carpet, and it had to be exterminated at once. Agatha and Sophie exchanged startled looks, for both were undoubtedly thinking the same thing. As one half of the two-headed dog, Pollux frequently lost the battle to use their body to his brother, Castor, who taught in evil. Since Castor was a vicious male dog, Agatha wasn't surprised he was evicted from the castle with the boys. But up until now, she'd been quite sure that Pollux was. Me too. Male too? She whispered to Hester behind her. Hester eyed Pollux's weak jaw, scantily fur, and rosy nostrils. I'd say he was about as much male in him as there is pink left in the carpet. My dear Professor Anemone, Pollux said in his strident voice, I believe there's an unfortunate incident involving a pink barrette this morning. Perhaps I should administer today's challenge if you're not up to your best. Professor Anemone glared blankly. What about your pink nose? Pollux looked like he had been slapped. It's an inherited condition. Since choosing a challenge is the one freedom I am still allowed, Professor Anemone said to the students, today's competition will be... The door opened again. What now? The dean slipped in with a warm smile. Since it's our captain's first day, Emma, perhaps it might be more appropriate if I choose the challenge. Professor Anemone muttered grimly and dumped herself at the sour candy desk. Pollux, dear, said the dean, sashaying in the front of Professor Anemone's desk, might we remind our captains how rankings are rewarded? Certainly, Pollux snuffed. All the students in the School for Girls are ranked in class challenges from first to last. Given there are 20 students in each class, the best performer in a given challenge will receive the rank of 1, and the most feeble student receiving a 20. These ranks will determine whether you are tracked as a leader, a follower, or a mogriff. The last referring to those girls who will undergo transformation into animals or plants. Students murmured, perhaps having forgotten that in this world free of good and evil, some of them would still end up as newts or ferns. Given our new and improved school, Pollux continued, the dean has chosen to wait until the start of the 3rd year to award tracks, so I hope you continue to mind your ranks with urgency. And perhaps, Pollux, the dean cooed, as she sat on the desk beside Professor Anemone's face, there is another reason why now it is a good time for girls to mind their ranks. Room, Agatha murmured, remembering the medieval makeover spa that had once rewarded the highest ranked girls. Hester shook her head. Incinerated as part of the debeatification. Of course, Dean, Pollux said. As you know, odorous and poorly dressed princes have been gathering in force at the wood gate, ready to kill one of our own. With our captain's arrival today, they will no doubt redouble their efforts, though our castle enchantments have kept the princes out thus far. We must be alerted if they fail. Thus, beginning tonight, the 2 students with the lowest rankings in today's end will stand guard at the woods gate from dusk until dawn. Agatha grimaced as girls buzzed around her. Last year, failing in good and evil meant being turned into a guard for the opposite side. This year, girls who failed their lessons against boys would be slaughtered by them first. So much for new and improved. The first challenge is called the Unforgiven, the dean said. In order to protect each other in a war to come, you must learn to resist the attraction of men. Each of you will face a phantom boy from your past for whom you've had feelings. Slay him ruthlessly. Kill him.
Oh, Lord.
Even if you want to forgive him. He is the enemy now and sees you as the same. The more savage you kill him, the higher the rank.
Wow.
That's excessive. Gary, be worried.
I'm very afraid.
Agatha tensed. She and Sophie would face the same boy. Beatrix went first. The dean pointed a sharp nail at her heart and, as if carving with a knife, drew a blue
Finger.
Okay, there we go. We're still recording. We're still on. Okay.
It went black.
Sorry. It started to sleep. I was like, I don't know if it's still recording. Okay, back to this.
Blooper.
The dean pointed a sharp nail at her heart, as if carving with a knife, drew out a wisp of blue lit smoke, and congealed into a phantom and stepped from Beatrix's body like a shadowed self. Chaddock, the burly, gray-eyed Everboy who had once asked her to the ball, bent on one knee before her in a halo blue haze, and held forth a rose with a dashing smile. Beatrix stabbed her glowing finger and blasted him to dust. Come a long way, hasn't she? Annadel mused to her spooked rats peeking from her pocket. Professor Anemone was hopping with fury. Evelyn, this challenge is cruel, nefarious, and hasn't the slightest to do with debeautification, she fired, standing at her desk. So I suggest you... She stopped because Candy Claus had magically grown out of her desk and gripped her by both shoulders, preparing to evict her. Suggest what? The dean asked. Continue, the professor and enemy rasped, and the Candy Claus vanished back into the desk. The girls resumed buzzing for their own turn, clearly siding with the dean. Meanwhile, Hester glowered at Agatha with a told-you-so look. As more students took turns against the Heart's blue phantoms, Kiko struggled to dispatch red-haired Tristan. Giselle made a tan Nicholas grow braids that strangled him. Dot bombarded him when she could only give weasel-faced Hort a pimple. Agatha's thoughts drifted back to Tedros. She could barely admit it, but Sophie was right. Her prince would have come somehow if he wanted to see her. Suppose she'd missed his note, or the dean had intercepted it. Should she still go through with the witch's plan tonight? Agatha swallowed a scream. Have I gone mad? Risking my best friend's life for a boy she barely knew? She thought about Sophie's lit-up face in the other room, so relieved that they'd made peace. This wasn't about Evers and Nevers. This wasn't a battle between prince and a witch. This was about her and Sophie striving to forgive each other's mistakes, fighting to save a friendship. Agatha winced at the irony. She'd forgotten the lesson Sophie had almost died learning. Her prince was a fantasy. Her best friend was a real thing. Agatha took a deep breath. Sophie? Sophie said, stealthily signing autographs for two Evergirls. Can you forgive me? Sophie glanced up, focused and sincere. Augie, you took back your wish. That's all I wanted. She reached over and squeezed her friend's wrist. Just give this place a chance, all right? Agatha looked into Sophie's hopeful eyes, the same hope she had seen in all the other girls at the school. There's a life after boys, Sophie said, and her smile was as bright as her diadem. You'll see. For the first time, Agatha let the thought in. Sophie is next. Pollux sniffed behind her. Sophie turned to see the whole class goggling at her. We're doing a challenge? Sophie asked, bewildered. When does the groom room open? She barely gleaned the rules before Pollux shoved her forward with his antelope hoof. Just kill him fast, Agatha hissed at her. You can't be anywhere near those princes tonight. But I don't want to kill anyone, Sophie whispered as Pollux trotted her past professor anemone streaming at her desk. Sophie took her place in front of the dean, trying to calm down. All she had to do was slay a ghost, and she'd be safe with Agatha, at least for the night. The witch is gone. Sophie nodded, ready to face her boy her friend had wished for over and over. The witch is gone. The dean raised her long, gold lacquered nail and pulled trails of blue smoke from Sophie, slowly, luxuriously, until they began to take shape, then dissipated in thin air. Sophie beamed proudly. Like I said, I'm 100% good. Pain ripped through her chest, and Sophie buckled. Oh my God! Agatha bolted to her feet. Are you okay? But now blood-red smoke was leaking from her friend's chest, and Sophie clutched it tighter. Choking in agony, she raised her scared eyes to Agatha, smoke spilling from inside of her. Aggie, help me! Aggie lunged over the desk. Too late. Sophie screamed a cry, and a rip of red light exploded from her heart. The class slammed back against the chairs in shock. Agatha froze. Protruding from Sophie's body was a phantom head, only it wasn't Tedros. A massive black beast, half man, half wolf, with devilish red eyes, dripped smoking drool as it jutted its jaws from Sophie's chest. Sophie couldn't breathe, staring down at the beast who'd cursed her dreams since she had killed it a year ago. The beast, now rebirthed from her own soul. Step by step, the phantom crawled out of Sophie's body, landing on sharp claws, and grew erect with two hairy legs, head bowed, nostrils flaring. Then it raised two red eyes to the class and snarled. Smashing through rows, the beast inspected the face of each petrified girl hunting for someone. It growled rejection over again and again, snapping and searing, slobbering angrier and angrier until it stopped cold. Slowly, the beast turned to Agatha and smiled blood-stained teeth. "No!" Sophie screamed. The beast launched across the room to Agatha's desk and slashed claws across her with a hateful roar. Then it leapt back to Sophie's heart in a single bound, snuffing its internal light. Sophie fainted and crumpled to the floor. No one moved. Agatha's chest pounded so loud, whitening out her vision, until it ebbed, just long enough for her to see what the beast had magically lashed on her gruesome pink scars. Unforgiven. With an ugly slurping sound, the scars shriveled and vanished into her skin. Agatha touched her shaking fingers to her healed chest and slowly looked up. On her knees, Professor Anemone had Sophie in her arms and gently revived her with a glowing fingertip. As the teacher shepherded her to her seat, Sophie panted and shivered in her grip. "I didn't do it," she choked as she sat, barely audible. It wasn't me." "Shh, Agatha knows you'd never attack her, dear. In the heat of the moment, your soul just mistook her for the boy." The dean soothed, caressing her on Agatha's shoulders. Still, a model performance, despite its carelessness. She paused and smiled at the class. "Who's next?" Professor Anemone gave the dean a rancid glare and left the room. At her desk, Sophie was quaking just as much as Agatha. Neither able to look at each other, as unnerved students took turns barely killing their phantoms. Agatha saw the rest of the class give their darting glances, as if they trusted the dean's explanation, and she should too. Sophie looked up through the tears. "Aggie, you believe her, don't you? I forgive you, I swear." But Agatha was staring at Hester, who had the same ominous face she'd worn in the bathroom, warning her wish wouldn't go unpunished. "Please, let's get the story in," Sophie said, voice breaking. Agatha slowly turned to her. You both mean our wish now, won't we?" We'll both mean our wish now, won't we?" Sophie begged. "You said you wanted to go home." Agatha felt no relief, only the deepening dread that this was too late to go home. "Agatha?" said a voice. Agatha's eyes lifted over Sophie to see the dean against the window. "Your last, dear." Agatha lost time in these moments, unsure how she had made it from one point to another, until she stood before the dean at the front of the classroom, listless and scared. Her chest simmered with heat, as the slashed message had drawn under her skin and tattooed inside of her. For the first time, she didn't hear the voices of good telling her to believe her friend. Instead, she heard the witches' voices telling her that for the second year, there would be no great mistake in why she'd come to the school, because she'd wished for the right ending after all. The dean thrust her finger at Agatha and yanked smoke from her with so much force that Agatha toppled backwards. Billowing high, the blue wisps pooled in the air like a suspended cloud about to reveal its phantom. The mist turned black. The dean's eyes widened. Thick as thunderclouds, the smoke began to swirl, faster and faster, funneling to deathly black fog. Agatha scrambled back. "What's happening?" Lightning exploded from the cyclone, and black wind ripped from its vortex, knocking girls to the ground and smashing the dean into the sour candy desk. The wind tore across the taffy before it blew all the butterflies off of the dean's dress and blasted them like a cannon through the window. Swirling and howling with vengeance, the black gale snatched the door off its hinges and pinned girls against the wall, leaving only Agatha untouched. Sophie tried to crawl towards Agatha to save her, but the wind threw Sophie against the room into a cabinet. Then there was a last burst of force. It picked Agatha up and sucked her, screaming into the cloud. Gasping, spinning, Agatha felt and saw nothing but black walls of wind, rising higher on all sides, shielding her view of the room. The wind bashed her from wall to wall with hellacious force, shutting and following her captain's crown. The roars growing louder and louder, splitting her ears, until all at once the winds died away, leaving her in the quiet eye of darkness. The black walls around her started to thicken with dimension light, morphing into the same ghostly shadow on all four sides. Masks, giant silver masks. Tedros' searing blue eyes gleamed through each, glaring down in every direction. "Tonight," he boomed, voice resounding. "Cross the bridge." Dwarfed beneath them, Agatha faltered for voice. But Tedros vanished. The black winds ripped into her heart with a thunderclap, leaving Agatha back into the silent classroom without a hair out of place. Girls slowly looked up from their disheveled heaps to see the room blown into smithereens, except for Professor Anemone, Professor Debbie, and Lady Lesso gawping through the doorway. The door magically slammed in their faces. "Who was that?" The dean staggered up. "A windswept mess. Who do you see?" Agatha's eyes lowered to the dean's blank dress, emptied of butterflies. She couldn't hear anything, it turned out. Agatha glowered back at her, defiant. The dean's face melted into a slow, cryptic smile, and a 20 burst into smoke maggots above Agatha's head. For failing the challenge completely, the dean declared, magically restoring her own looks as she awarded the rest of the ranks. Dot wrestled a putrid 19. 1,000 blue butterflies hatched from the dean's dress, seeming like cocoons, and flew to the new powder. Agatha sat down, catching girls' suspicions at their crownless captain. Meanwhile, Hester and Annabelle both had the same anxious expressions, demanding she answer her questions after class. "It was Tedros, wasn't it?" a trembling voice said next to her. Agatha didn't move. "Aggie!" Sophie's voice squawked. "What did Tedros say?" Agatha hesitated, then lifted her eyes to her friend's bloodless face. Her heart stopped. There was something on Sophie's neck, just under her collar, a black wart. "Aggie!" Sophie shifted, and her collar obscured it. "What'd you see?" Agatha wheezed for a voice. "Well?" Sophie said, face darkening. Agatha hid her shaking hands. "You're right," she staggered, coming to look ashamed. He would never come for me." Sophie gasped at her in disbelief. "He did? What?" "He said he'd never come for me." "He did?" Slowly, her emerald eyes hardened into suspicious knife-edged discs. Agatha held her breath, feeling them cut into her soul and hang like a noose around her lie, but about to pull tight. "What did I tell you, Agatha?" Sophie breathed with quiet fury. She clasped her friend's hand. "I told you boys are evil." Agatha stared at her, stunned. "Don't worry, Aggie. Nothing can stop us if we work together," Sophie vowed, her captain's crown sparkling. "We'll get the pen from him. We'll get our happy ending back, just like last time." Heart hammering, Agatha gazed past her at the halfway bridge leading into the frog. This time, she knew it wouldn't be together. "Tonight?" Sophie smiled at her hopefully. Agatha smiled back in terror, hearing her princess voice as her own. "Tonight." Dun, dun, dun. So we know that she's starting to have nemesis stuff again because she's got the wart.
Yep.
Yes.
And yeah, I can't believe that they awarded her a 20 though, like the worst out of the entire
Well,
class.
because you're rated on how you killed him, and she didn't kill him.
But there was nobody in it. She told them that there was nobody in it.
Yeah, but the school is magic, so the school knows that he appeared, but she didn't kill him or something.
I don't know. It's a stretch. It's a reach.
Well, to be fair, she didn't kill anything. But what I don't understand is, why would Sophie get a captain's crown still when she didn't kill a guy? She had a creature come out of her that attacked her best friend, And she didn't even kill the creature. The creature
Went back
soaked
into
back
her.
into her.
Yeah.
So why does she get the captain's crown still?
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Nope.
I think she's just the dean's favorite, so we're just gonna give her the crown.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, we did say we were going to tell you some things. First things first, Comic-Con review. So when we went to the Comic-Con panel, the author talked about not only the movie that's coming, the
TV series.
TV series that's coming out on Netflix in the fall, but he's also going to release a book about the two brothers and how it all began.
So that he said that the not Netflix, the Hulu movie is coming out in a couple of months, so that'll be out actually fairly soon. I think it was like September or October, right? Like, that's coming out soon.
Right?
October.
Netflix?
On Hulu.
I thought it was on Hulu.
No, I think
Okay.
this book actually might be on Netflix, but the Sarah J. Maas is coming out on Hulu.
Okay,
Well, why are
maybe
you
that's one
talking about Sarah J. Maas? This is School of
I
Good
think
No,
People.
but I think
it's-
she's getting it.
I think
Oh,
it is.
okay. Yeah,
Because
it's
that
not
one's coming
Hulu.
out
Because
on
they're both
Hulu.
coming out
No.
on. They're both coming out on.
Streaming.
Originally, he was supposed to get it released through Universal.
Yeah.
And it like dropped or something. So and then Netflix picked it up or bought it off him or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't
And
remember
he's
the
planning
finance.
on doing the first season as being all of book 1, and then he said that they want to do the recording for books 2 and 3 back to back, so kind of like they did for Lord of the Rings, so it can come out faster.
Yeah.
Which will be really, really super nice.
Go check out the artwork. If you go look it up on Google, you can see who's cast so far, or at least who they're showing cast and their outfits and stuff.
They have pretty much everybody cast. I mean,
Yeah, they're already recording, but I'm saying you can only see pictures of certain people.
gotcha.
So many.
They only have people in costume for so many characters as sneak previews. So
Yeah, so super excited about that. And then the book should be coming out soon. And he said he's going to do an entire series off of it. It's not just going to be one book.
Correct.
He also said that he was going to do a separate series, but he was kind of vague about what it was going to be about.
So keep an eye out for that author's upcoming information. Other than that, we also want to do a shout out to a friend.
I also want to do a shout out to a friend. If you're into comic books, please check out my friend Sam's channel. He's going to go into a lot of stuff into the comic book world, kind of like what we're doing. But he's also going to relate it back to a lot of the movies that are coming out, where Avengers is going to be headed. And so if you're interested in all things comic book, please check out his channel. I will put the link in the description below.
Yes.
And like we said, we do have some family rough times right now. So we already know that we're not going to be able to meet up in the next 3 weeks at least.
Please be patient with us.
So-
We will try and get out as much as we can.
Because it's pretty much family issues, and then I'm out of state, and then literally
I'll
the
be
next
out of the
weekend she's
country.
out of country.
Yeah.
So congratulations on the family wedding, by the way.
I'm not getting married.
No,
just
but
for
you have
clarification.
family
I have
getting
family
married.
getting married.
So
So
congratulations to them.
out of the country. So,
So,
it'll be fun.
so we'll be able to
Thank you.
record like mid-September.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. But we did want to get something out in between because it's just been a very long time.
Yes. And we
Yes.
acknowledge that.
Yes.
It's hard to see these ladies. I miss them.
Yes.
And you too, Chewy.
If he's even awake, he's like
Over
he's
here.
kind of given up on the.
He's pouting.
He's
Yes.
pouting after having his toy taken away.
Yeah.
All right, we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
But the dean squeaked.